Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the East-West Show, Jack Chow with the JNE TV. For many, many years, we have been talking about the gun control subject. And now, while we're talking, we keep on seeing one after another, over and over again, the occurrences, the incidents. With the Florida school shooting, right after they made the laws, increase the age of gun ownership starting from 18 to 21. And what surprised me was that right after that, shortly, only a few days, the National Rifle Association decided to sue the state of Florida for that laws. That was almost a joke. I couldn't believe it. But with a thorough study, reading lots of information about this lawsuit, I started to believe how strong the other part is. So with me today in talking about gun culture is my good friend, who in my eye is a fighter for justice, Mr. Chris Nibby of Hollywood. You're welcome, sir.
谢谢你老朋友。
Good, very good,
你好，
very good.
你好。
Mr. Chris Nibby is a director of Hollywood. He is the founder and the CEO of Monorex Corporation Hollywood, and lots of wonderful films. He had one of the most outstanding is his series of 19 films altogether called Mysterious China that has received very high reputation. This, by the way, is being shown in the mainstream theater already across the nations to many major cities. So that's a success. Together, we're talking about gun culture today. Have you heard about the news of Florida being sued?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
What have you heard of?
I heard, that immediately after the state of Florida passed the gun safety bill, the NRA, the National Rifle Association, called also NRA, immediately filed a federal lawsuit against the state of Florida. Now, that shows you very clearly how the freedom of the law here has many sides. See, there's a freedom which manifests itself in many categories. Political freedom, economic freedom, religious freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of the media, and so on. American freedoms are granted in the form of rights. Yet many of these rights actually often end up reflecting the needs and desires of the powerful and influential elite, the powers that be.
So in this case, the National Rifle Association is applying their right of freedom to express themselves to sue the state of Florida.
Right. The customizing of, this is sort of customizing freedom by select power groups, inevitable leads to less satisfactory and sometimes even unacceptable consequences in the land of the home, on land of the free and home of the brave, to say the least. Perhaps the most grotesque American definition of freedom is the largely unrestricted gun ownership.
All right, okay. By that though, what is the reflection or response of the Florida state?
There is no response yet. They have the bill, they're being sued. The National Rifle Association stands for the fundamental rights of Americans to own firearms, including military-style assault weapons.
No. We're talking about the gun ownership, the gun right.
Yes.
In other words, constitutional gun right doesn't say any age limit. Am I right?
No, it doesn't say any age
and then
limit.
For Florida, for the state of Florida, to do a supplementary of a certain age or increase the age, I believe there is nothing wrong. Is there anything wrong?
No, there's nothing wrong.
Even from the National Rifle Association's eyes, is there anything wrong?
Yes.
Why?
Because the NRA insists that gun ownership is enshrined in the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution.
Nobody says no.
But their interpretation has been customized to meet the demands of a politically influential subgroup of the American society.
Yeah, well,
You
nobody
see-
says no. Nobody says no.
Yes, but you see, the rights of the Constitution is very vague. It mean at that time, as you remember, we said on a recent show, they used to have a flintstock
Yeah.
to load a gun.
Okay.
When they wrote that, they never envisioned automatic guns which
Yeah,
fire
yeah,
rounds
of course,
and rounds
of course,
and
yes.
kill and create massacres. They never envisioned that. So actually, the Constitution in many ways, also the Second Amendment, is outdated. It does not meet requirements of the 21st century.
All right. Probably the word outdated is too much a sensitive word. How about supplement? How about amendment? How about an add-up? And how about interpretations?
But you see, whatever you say, it's still outdated because that paper was made about over 200 years ago. And it was the mindset of those people who wrote the Constitution, which basically has a lot of positive points, is no longer applicable to today's mindset of today's
That I agree. I
world.
do agree.
It's totally
I do
outdated.
agree. The U.S. Constitution was written into law, into Constitution, 1789, right? Until 1922, there had been 27 amendments already. And regardless of what Florida is doing, whether they're intended to amend Constitution, they are still within range, right? They're
Yeah,
still
they're
within range.
but they're also within the right of a state.
And with the right of the state, with the right of Constitution,
Yes.
within the range, with the common sense. Am I
yes,
right?
they're absolutely right.
All right.
Who is not right and who is wrong, actually very wrong, is the National Rifle Association.
To the core of the issue, though, you're still talking about money,
Yes,
right? Because with the age limit, you are seeing less dollars.
yes,
You're seeing less money. Am I right?
right.
All right. And suppose if Florida did the contrary, say, reduce the age from 18 to 16, do you think that the Rifle Association will still do a
No,
lawsuit?
they would send Governor of Florida a bouquet of flowers with congratulations,
Yeah, they will do that.
because that's exactly what they like to do.
All right, my dear friend, lovely audience, today, as always, with my friend Chris Newby, wonderful fighter for justice and the director for Hollywood, I'm always having good time. Today is one of the good time. However, in a joking way, we're talking about Florida as a state is sued by the Rifle Association, National Rifle Association, for lifting their gun right age from 18 to 21. Let's take a short moment out. From that point on, probably we can stretch the whole issue to cover that as a gun culture. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome to the East-West show, Jack Chow with GNE TV. Once again, we're talking about gun control, gun rights, so on and so forth, versus a big wall of gun culture. So for gun culture, it is simple to give a definition, but if you go into it, though, you will find lots of things, lots of people are behind it. So With me is my good friend, Mr. Chris Newby. We're having once again a good time chatting about our gun culture. So,
I would like to address the mantra of the NRA. The mantra is the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That's the mantra. Now that tells you everything. And that also shows you that the idea of arming teachers is absurd.
all right.
Because it is not the mission of teachers to get involved in gun battles. In the end, such grotesque ideas promoted by gun fanatics take us back to pre-civilized times. It's absurd.
All right. That is your take, that as your study, as your finding already. I probably have a different take. I expressed that already last time with you, that I used to be very, very much against the gun right. Again, not gun right. I mean the tit for tat, right? Now I started to see when the government fails to protect its own people, though, it is up to its own people to protect themselves. Now that law enforcement, take the Florida for a situation, for example, we have a school. There we have on the campus 4 armed officers supposed to protect them who didn't do a job. Why they didn't do a job? Because they were trained that way not to confront with the active gun shooter. All right? So now we learn that at least in that school community, the culture is that its government fails to protect its own people. Now it's up to its own people to protect themselves. What's wrong with it?
But you see, this doesn't make sense to me because
Sure, it
everywhere
does to
else, no, it doesn't. Because everywhere else, you see the police always in action. I'm just referring to your 2 things you told me about Pasadena some shows ago, where it was not the victim which was active. The victim was running away and didn't even do anything. But they got shot by the police, so the aggressor was the police, not the victim.
No.
So
still,
here there is a shooter there, a massacre is happening, and the cops are outside waiting for what? They should have gone in, and I'm sure that if they would have gone in, because the shooter would have not seen them, the shooter would have been shooting there.
That's your analysis.
Yes.
To my analysis, no matter Pasadena incident or Florida incident, they belong to the same nature. Because they know that they are facing unarmed civilians so that they can exercise the way they want it, whichever way, right? If given the situation that they are facing armed civilians, they will take another different tactic. Not shooting right away, because they trigger the first bullet, right? So, and by that I say, of course, this is out of my resentment. I feel so suppressed. Out of my resentment, I say, okay, let's arm everybody. Let's arm school teachers.
Yeah,
right? So, and by that I mean the declaration of no arm zone, no weapon zone. What did they say?
Yeah.
No arm zone.
No weapon zone, yeah.
No. Gun-free zone.
Yeah.
Gun-free zone is a surrender flag. It's a call for being a target. Shoot me my way. I'm not armed. So I want to go, instead of in the past I used to be against it, now I call for it. Let's arm everybody. What's wrong with it? Come on, don't laugh at me. Is this so funny?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Why is it so funny?
We are going back to pre-civilized times. I mean, this is now ridiculous.
Yeah, let's go back for it. Well, what's wrong?
Well, can you see?
Because
can you just imagine you're in class
live
and there is a gun tooting.
And the same thing happens in Texas.
I know.
Right? You sit in a bar,
yes,
in a night bar. Everybody has a pack on the butt.
Okay.
All right, even women, they have something in their purse.
Right.
So nobody violates that. Everybody respect, because the moment I want to start do something wrong, I might get shot. So
Yeah,
what about
but
that?
that's not
that
right.
deters.
But
That deters. Let's
No,
call for
no,
it.
You cannot give. There are already enough guns out there. You don't have to add.
That said, I'm not saying that I support the Rifle Association's lawsuit
I do understand,
against
yeah.
Florida. They're different issue. They're talking about 21 instead of 18. When I propose it, I will still propose it to arm everyone above 21. How about that?
No,
No?
you can't have a teacher teaching math with
Yeah.
a Colt on his side.
Yeah.
No, no,
What's wrong?
no.
What's wrong?
And this is, I mean, this would taking American Hollywood dreams to the extreme. That would be. This is grotesque, and it doesn't work out.
Okay, now, did I tell you that I went to see the film, what is that? Death Wish.
Yes.
I told you I saw Death Wish,
Yes,
right?
and you liked it.
I liked it because it is not that, once again, out of my resentment, because I feel suppressed so much. Then all of a sudden, when you see that movie, you start to kind of feel like a release, right? A relief, I'm sorry. And you feel like that way. Because when the laws, when the government can't do the job, the guy visited the police department, they showed him a whole wall of unsolved puzzles, right? And then he came to the conclusion, I got to do it myself, right? He take it upon me to get justice back. So he started shooting. So, and it is not something to be glorified, but it's something to the moment, given moment though, it is exactly a portion of Americans, what they are thinking. Am I right?
Yes.
I got a yes out of you.
Yeah, but you see, in modern history, let's go back a little bit. In modern history, there's never been a war on American soil. Americans view those wars, always in faraway places, as nightly television entertainment.
All right.
It does have, the shooting in Syria has nothing to do with a gentleman in North Dakota who is an accountant. He sees that and says, all right, keep shooting. I have a gun too. But every day and every hour on every media outlet, guns and slaughter continue to dominate the minds of we the people from here, from east to west and from west to east in America, instilling fear of violence coming to their doorstep. Okay? Movies, TV series, and computer games are about problems being solved by guns. Killing victims no matter where they are and who they are, police or civilians. It creates the impression that in America, problems can simply be solved by the gun.
Yeah, those are the stories or symptoms that indicates the guns are in the hands of bad guys.
Yes, but
Whereas the good guys do not have guns.
it's-
So what if we just arm the right guys, good guys, with weapons?
I tell you, even if it is becoming a law or something, I'm telling you there is already a lawsuit in the making by the Teachers Association who will say not everybody is equipped, mentally equipped, has nothing to do with being mentally deranged, but mentally equipped to have a gun. For example, I realize that it's nice to have a gun and the gun gives you power. However, I also realize the danger because it's so easy to pull the trigger and then you see the dead body there.
I know.
And it's
I know.
your
Everybody
fault.
knows that, yeah.
In a moment of not being controlled or being overwhelmed or being just not in full control of your faculties. I mean, I don't think, no, we can't have that. I don't think it's a good idea. I have some very different ideas.
After all right, my dear friends, thank you very much. My lovely audiences, today we're talking about gun control, only we stretch the subject to a bigger term we call it the gun culture. Gun culture is prevailing. I really don't wish that I take a position which I take now. It is out of my resentment. I feel it's only fair to do so. So stay with me. We'll be right back, please. Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow with the GNE TV on the East West Show. With me is my good friend, Mr. Chris Nibby, who is, in my eye, a fighter for justice. Only right now, in the discussion, I find myself in the arguing position with him, talking about we have no problem against in any way against the gun right. We have no problem in raising the age of gun ownership from 18 to 21, by which we support Florida, right? With that as a given background, we are talking about the fact that if we quote from NRA, right, only way to deal with a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Am I right?
Right.
Okay. It makes some sense.
It does.
Now, it didn't make any sense until now, until I see Sandy Hooks, until I see this Parkland County school shooting. Especially when you see the 4 police officers who were armed, assigned on the job, that failed to protect. You know that it's a blatant failure that the government failed to protect its own people. So go back to Constitution. Why did our forefathers give us the right of gun ownership? Because it's just in case if your government fails you to protect you, so that you protect yourself. Right now, we're back to the point. The point is that when government fails, it is upon you to protect yourself with a gun. That's why I take what I take now.
But it also has to do with money.
Yeah.
Money talks in America, and you see the arms industry thrives on wars and the media campaigns of gun culture that create huge retail sales for military hardware. Mm-hmm. Politicians rely on the gun economy to finance their political elections campaigns. Mm-hmm. I understand that the NRA paid millions to politicians to get elected, and then when they're elected, of course, they have to promote the mantra of the NRA.
I understand. Yeah.
So this is a condition for perpetuating massacres at public school and other killings, no end. The elite people is largely protected from massacres at home, school, or at play. Their children are safe in expensive private schools.
You you want me to give you my take?
Yeah.
Oh, please. Okay. Now, of course, it is money related. It is all money, nothing but money, all money, right? Now, sadly, we have to convince ourselves they were lucky to keep up the basic element of life, to make it their business, right? Mm-hmm. Because the gun right versus the gun control, there is an everlasting struggle going on and on and on and on. Bad guys, good guys, even including me, who used to go against it, now start to feel like, from my resentment, that let everybody have it. Lucky them, they pick up the subject, they pick up the area, gun. Suppose if somebody can monopolize all the auctions on earth, right? So he's the sole dealer of auction, regardless, good guys or bad guys. You come here, buy a liter, here's the liter, right? Here's buy 2 pounds, here 2 pounds, and I will be forever rich. So, and water, back then, Did you see the film The Chinatown?
Yes.
All right, no. Those are the basic livelihood business. So water, air, life. And speaking of life, though, the best way to take life is a bullet.
Right.
So these are the basic elements of life. So they are the ones who are lucky enough to get first hand of those basic livelihood. So you got to either follow their trend or you get killed.
How about we replace the hegemonic war policies of America with promoting diplomatic negotiations and resolutions of conflicts in peace and harmony, trying to create win-win situations.
It takes time.
I'm getting there.
It takes a lot of efforts.
Yes.
Of course, something good are happening. Instead of talking about attacking North Korea, right?
Right.
So they are talking about, well, let's talk, let's meet.
Way to go.
Way to go, right?
Now, there's another thing.
That takes a lot of efforts, at least 2 years of time.
Right, but everything takes time. Change takes time.
All right.
Second, replace the media gun culture, movies, TV, computer games, with cultural values of solidarity in socially engaged communities.
All right. That's up to you, because you are the director of Hollywood. That's up to you. We rely upon you to give us productions.
I have no say so who makes movies and how they make them. I have only a say so if I make one myself. Another thing is, you see, because socially engaged, you see, too much you need to change social awareness. In the old times, where we come from, the neighbors were looking after each other. There was a community.
Yeah.
Now I understand that there are no communities. People come and go. They sell the house. They buy another one. Many times you don't even know your neighbor. Many times in apartment buildings, I understand, you don't even know your neighbor next door.
Yeah,
So,
okay. Which is true.
Yeah. So you see, you have to replace also the mania to possess military level weapons among civilians with a vision of one's life built around a safe environment shared among socially engaged neighbors.
All right. I agree with you. I know where you come from. It is only the fact that we are facing a different time. Time has changed. Technology has changed our time. Time has changed the concept. The concept has changed the way we live our lives, right? So that to deal with it, so it is to live or to die situation. When you put yourself into society with a gun culture, you're really talking about how to stay alive.
Yes.
Right? Now, in order to stay alive, you go back to all the way to the model of the National Rifle Association. So, to get a gun in the good hand.
Yeah, but
That's the only way to do.
Yeah, okay, but then you have to outlaw or regulate gun clubs and militias. Abolish the sale of military-level weapons of war being used to slaughter kids huddled in their classrooms.
I agree.
To stop the violence, you have to boycott businesses that provide political and material support to the warmongers, militias, and other gun-toting extremists.
And for that, Hollywood film is
Right.
is to the front
Right.
of the line,
Right.
right?
Individual gun owners should be licensed on strict psychological criteria. That is
Right.
very important.
Should. There are zillions of should, right?
Yeah, but my friend, the age of 21 or 16 or 18 doesn't matter, because important is what is the psychological setup of the person applying for a gun license. The renewal of license should be frequent and mandatory, as is with driver's license, where as you
the
go with
only way to go, to me,
Yeah.
right? It looks to me that the only way to go to allow freedom equally to everybody you have your right to promote your pro-gun culture or gun culture, and you have your right to go against gun culture. Well, you guys go enjoy yourself, something like that. If I were God, I would say so. Go play yourself, enjoy yourself. See who prevails, I don't care. That's the solution now.
Yes.
That is exactly what we're talking now.
Right.
Because you're saying one side being very vocal, the other side is stronger than your voice. And it goes vice versa.
Right.
Right? So, best way to do, go enjoy yourself. You guys talk. There's no solution.
No.
There's no nothing, because no party is getting involved. Right? No partisanship want to make any change of the Constitution. Right?
Okay, but you see, for example, the psychiatric evaluation of an applicant of a gun license should be very strict, because mentally deranged individuals committed virtually all school
I understand
massacres.
that. I do so.
Many
I do
of
agree.
them had been known for erratic behavior and domestic abuse by their neighbors or the police prior to the tragedies they inflicted. Very
agree.
clearly
I agree.
demonstrated
I agree.
in Florida.
And also, some of the shooters are victims of PTSDs.
Yeah,
And who created PTSDs? Wars.
that's it.
And
That's why I keep telling you.
Who created the wars?
As long as you glorify wars,
Who created wars?
Yeah.
Right? It goes back to the very root. My dear friends, today in the discussion about gun culture, we seem to be finally touching the goal. The goal means that we want to find out where it comes from. The whole thing. We go step by step, step by step. We will find out what exactly had been wrong in the root, at the root level. So the root problems. So stay with us. We will be right back, please. Hello, dear friends, the lovely audiences, my dear fellow Americans. Welcome back to the discussion about gun rights, gun control, and even gun culture when you stretch the concept in a bigger way. With me today, my good friend Chris Nibby has some kind of a study he put together with a script like this big. And I, to echo with him, I have mine done the same way. We really want to put the efforts together to find out if there is a solution, or if there's not, what do we want to do while waiting for solutions, right? So with that, I would say once again, welcome you back to the discussion, right? Okay, now, when I say that my rebound was out of my resentment, I mean that I did not from the bottom of my heart feel that way, right? I only say that because I was so suppressed. Well, I was pushed to a point, okay, let's do it, something like that, right? Now, in order to find what caused the problem though, we were just at the point of scratching, we just about one hair away to where the spot is. Now, we found out that a majority, maybe a great majority of the shooters happen to be mental health bothers, right? With a mental health condition, right? Even this shooters in Florida school, right? Back then in Sandy Hook, going on and on and on and on, and almost, and great majority of the shooters happen to be with mental illness. Now, among this mental illness people, a great number of them are victims of PTSD, right? What has caused PTSDs?
war.
Wars. Who have created wars?
The powers that be. But you see, it must be our
Does
duty.
it look that we can trace to the very top?
Yeah, that's what I said first. We have to stop this war mentality?
By stopping who?
Ourselves.
No, no, no,
You
no.
see-
Not ourselves. Okay, now let's be very serious on this.
This is a-
We are not war creators.
This is a society based on fear.
No, I know.
Because somebody
I know,
tells
no, no,
them,
no, no, no.
if we don't make war, somebody's going to make war here. I mean, it is ridiculous. Just think about South Korea, North Korea.
You're putting your theories upside down.
Yeah.
I'm talking about who has created wars. Why would they create war?
Because
Right?
for profit.
Aha, all right. So with the war created, when with the war that has consequences, one of the consequences is that people are starting to feel the fear
Yes.
and the hatred is produced.
Yes.
Resentment, such as myself,
Right.
resentment is produced. Distrust is produced. Unfriendly is produced. Right? Enemies are produced. Stuff like that. Those are the consequences. We only are talking about the consequences without going back to the very root problem. We'll never get an answer.
That's correct. But you see, you must also think that, for example, gun dealers and gun shows should be strictly regulated and forced to follow procedures or face penalties, because this is a big business. This is a big, big business. Gun ownership in America is a big business.
You're right, you're right.
And hunters should use weapons appropriate for the game they're shooting. Semi-automatic firearms are not appropriate for hunting deer, rabbits, or turkey. They are only used to killing people, and
All right.
especially
I agree.
kids in classrooms. But you see, it's also public schools and teachers must be supported.
No, forget the details of regulations, what we should do. If we go by list, we can do it for a whole day though. Right?
No, I'm finished.
You're finished? Okay, good.
I'm finished because you see, the whole thing is a cultural thing. The Descartes' policy of undermining basic public services like free public education in favor of privatizing education in America must be stopped. Making good education a privilege for the wealthy rather than the right of working and middle class families is unacceptable. There should be free education and free health care for all Americans. It is no accident.
Okay, go
It
ahead.
is no accident that mass shootings take place exclusively in public schools. Why not in a private school? Because those private schools are protected and
You're
they're-
going back.
Aha.
That's why
see-
I say we should arm every public school.
No.
We should.
The children of the elite are tucked away safely in gated communities and highly selective private schools. Security, quality of education, and health care are more and more the exclusive domain of the elite. The elite-driven policies must be
I'm waiting
reformed
for you to finish the list.
for we the people in general.
All right. So you're done with the list?
Yes.
Okay. And the list should go on for another segment at least.
Yes.
Or if not, another day, right? So I'm not talking about the list of what we should do. They have been discussed already over 100, 200, 300 times already. Okay. We're talking about the fact why we are facing the culture we're facing. I was almost back there. I'm to the very top of the root problem. It is the big money maker, and it is the big politicians.
Yeah.
All right, they themselves are money makers.
Right.
Okay. For example, you know who is the contractor of Iraq War and Afghanistan War?
Halliburton, yeah,
Halliburton.
among others.
You know who is the shareholder, biggest shareholder of Halliburton?
The Honorable Mr. Cheney, yeah.
All right, Mr. Dick Cheney,
Yeah.
to be precise, all right?
Yeah.
So that's why we have wars, right?
Yeah,
Now,
he's
take that
just
for example,
the
though.
figurehead of the whole thing.
Take that for example, though. That produces PTSD, am I right?
Yeah,
And PTSD produces the victims.
right.
When they are home, they are not welcome with the environment that will help them step down to the normal life, to the everyday life, like regular Joes and Sues, and of course they are troubled, right? For mental illness, you cannot blame them for common sense. You cannot blame them for laws, for legality whatsoever. They are them. They are in their own mental world.
But I think
So now, the environment has provided them with the convenience of guns. So they started shooting, going back to the war times, or in their mind.
But I don't. But when you look at the school shootings, they were all done by former veterans or people who suffered under PST. So
the germ of that develops, and proliferates, all right, amongst the community. So people get affected, right? Now, plus we have the glorification of all those shooters.
Right.
Plus we have the films with a bang, 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 bang. Well, they shoot the way they wanted to shoot. And plus we have these computer games, shooting. Everywhere you hear is shooting. So together, for a child starting 5 years old to 15 to 25, all the 20 years, right? As for him or her can hear or see, is the environment of shooting.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
So, do you think by that we go back all the way to trace the creator of wars?
Yeah, because you see, they are the elite, and they laugh about and secretly view the middle class and working class Americans as losers, because they have to send their kids to public institutions which are worth nothing. So they must unite. You know, it's the working class and middle class people who must unite and bring back social and economic justice for everyone.
That's another failure. Public schools supposed to be main structure of our education system.
Yeah.
Okay. The elite schools or the private schools are only a branch of it. All right. Now, when the government fails to support its own public schools, though, it is a total failure for all.
That's it. So
who is to be blamed? In addition to the big politicians, it is our government to be blamed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
The government,
for allowing that to happen.
Instead of wasting billions of dollars on the education, on the military, if they would invest the money
only
wasted on the military
into
public education and health, public health,
we'll
every American would have a first-class education and a first-class health care. So, I mean, it's the powers that be who are to be blamed. And it's in the end, since the voters have to vote, make the right choices.
Okay, my friend. Yeah.
Because choices, you know, culture, political and economic changes take a lot of time.
All right.
They require mass struggles.
All right, we're over time. We're way over time. Okay. All right. My dear friend, we're over
we're
time.
Fucking Nazis.
Now, don't look around. Yeah, we're over time for 5 minutes already.
Oh, yeah?
All right, my dear friends, let's wrap it up. We're way over time, but we are still happy that we finally touched something that, to be the core of the issue. See you next time, my dear friends.